From the studios, it is a YouTube channel that is currently called Euro Yard, won't be for much longer. Just subscribe and you'll find out what the new name is sometime after this contest is over, maybe in a couple of weeks. But we got more important business to talk about today. That is the second semifinal of the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest, which just wrapped up maybe about 15 minutes ago from the time that I recorded this. So still got a lot of thoughts, still processing some things. We'll go through the countries that qualified. So I was 9 out of 10 on predicting this one. Almost got the clean sweep, but the one that I was worried about getting wrong was the one I got wrong, which was Czechia. I had debated in my predictions, was I going to do Czechia? Was I going to do Armenia? I went with Armenia because they had a qualification streak, which is now over, and Czechia ended up taking that 10th spot. Otherwise, pretty good record for us, but I took notes on every single song, including the songs that were not up for a vote this time. We got a lot to talk about. So yet again, let's talk about the hosting here. So, not great. I don't think, when we're looking back at this Eurovision Song Contest or Eurovisions from the 2020s, years from now, and they do those recap reminiscing videos where they talk about, oh, do you remember this? Oh, do you remember that? You know, they're going to talk about things like the really big introduction that they had in 2023 with Ukraine and those wonderful performances and some of the great interval acts that we've seen over the years, like in 2024. We're not going to talk about this one. Let's just be honest. If we do talk about this one, it's probably not going to be in such a good context. I think the hosts, God love them, I think the hosts are trying the best they can. It's just they don't have a lot to work with here, and the shows are just slow moving. The content isn't all that interesting. I did give them credit for the intro that they did where the two hosts were kind of doing a spoof of JJ's winning song from last year, Wasted Love. I give them credit for that because at least it gave me something. You know, could it have been funnier? Probably, but at least it gave me something. It wasn't as unwatchable as the first semifinal, I don't think, but I mean, Austria's not going to be hosting the contest next year. I think that's pretty clear. So before we get into the songs, another thing I just wanted to critique here. I don't know why in the last two semifinals, the male host has been dressed like an adult film star from the 1970s. Because that was definitely going on Tuesday, and it was going on again today. Of course, a different color scheme. So, I don't know, maybe that makes it better. But, I don't know. Maybe on Saturday we'll learn what the thinking was behind it, should there have been any. But yeah, just a really interesting set of circumstances. Let's get through. Let's talk about the 10 songs that qualified. So, this was in the order that they were announced. It is Bulgaria, Ukraine, Norway, Australia, Romania, Malta, Cyprus, Albania, Denmark, and Czechia. So they made me wait for Denmark. They're coming almost down to the end. I'm like, this one can't possibly not qualify. And indeed, I do think Denmark is going to do pretty well for itself on Saturday. We'll get to that on Saturday. So, okay, let's get to the songs. And this is in the order they were performed. So number 1 on the list was Bulgaria. The song went through. Bangaranga. It was fun. It was high energy. The staging might have seemed weird to some people, and I'm going to imagine myself in their shoes that it probably did seem weird to some people, but you can say this. There was an actual concept there, and they committed to it. And I liked it. I thought it was a deserving qualifier, so Bulgaria, welcome back to the grand final. It's been a while. So number 2, Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, the song did not qualify. The song was called Just Go. She sang fine. It's not a bad song. Honestly, it's not a bad song. I did hear some criticism of it. It's not bad. But the problem with it is, and it's not just that they got the death slot, which is number 2. Usually the number 2 spot in a semifinal is really hard to qualify out of. Not for Sweden the other day, but for this song, yeah, I could see it coming. But my problem with it is I just felt like I've heard this song before and like I've seen this performance before. So when it's not that unique, it's going to struggle. So number 3, this was Romania. This was Choke Me. So Choke Me. It was intense. You would imagine that a song with that title would be. Kind of like shades of Lady Gaga a little bit. Maybe we can get Gaga out to Vienna for Saturday. Maybe she can observe the proceedings. I think it was well staged. The song had layers to it. There were times I struggled to get into it, like in the verses. I struggled to get into it a little bit, but the chorus was pretty good. It goes really hard. She did well vocally, I think, and at the end of the day, I think this was Romania's best entry since 2010. 2010, their entry, of course, was Playing with Fire, which is an ESC Top 400 song, and I think this was their best effort since then. So number 4, this was Luxembourg, Mother Nature. So it was different, a different sound for this contest. Not super interesting, unfortunately. I felt very much the same way during the Luxembourg Song Contest. Her vocals were, I think, off at times. So I don't think that this performance really got the job done. Not super surprised that it didn't qualify. So number 5, Czechia. Let's talk about this one. This was one that I thought might be a shock NQ. It damn near was a shock NQ today because it was obviously the last one announced. That doesn't mean it was in 10th in the semifinal, but it was the last one announced, so we had to wait this one out for a while. So look, Czechia. He can clearly sing. There's no two ways about it. He is one of the better vocalists in this contest. I think the song is jury bait. The song isn't really for me. I think it is for a lot of people out there who are into this style of music. It's not really for me. My criticism is that, and by the way, just because a song is a ballad doesn't mean I automatically don't like it. Some of the highest rated songs I've ever listened to out of almost 1,800 songs in this contest have been ballads. So it's not the fact that it's a ballad. It's just, it feels like this song is going somewhere and then it just doesn't. It feels like there's going to be a bigger finish and a bigger payoff, but we don't quite get all the way there. At times I just kind of like glazed over during the song. So he's got big vocals and I think that's going to help him. And I think he's going to do well with the juries, but how well is he doing with the televote? That we will have to see. And then I've got some comments here about France. So France went in between Czechia and Armenia. So Monroe, she is a talented singer. I have to say that the word that was coming to mind when I was listening to this performance was inauthentic. It's like this song was manufactured in a lab. And some songwriters and other people, this is just how I'm picturing it. It's like some songwriters and composers got together and said, what are some qualities of recent winning Eurovision songs? They put them down on a whiteboard or a piece of paper, and then they worked backwards and filled in a song around that. I don't really feel like the song connected with me or that it told me a story. I think they just put some elements in there to show off and to try to do really well and win. But I think at times it also just kind of laid it on too thick. So I want to like this French song more. I want to support my fellow American here in this contest, but I'm not feeling it with this French song. I'm just not. So then Armenia, the only miss that I had, my poor Simone. It was a high energy song. It was likable. His vocal diction was not great, but I do think he should also get some credit for level of difficulty here because the pace of the song was very fast. You have to have a lot of breath control to be able to sing this because of just how fast the beat is. It wasn't going to be a contender to win, but at least it gave me something. Number 7 was Switzerland. So this song, it was a different sound for this particular contest. At times, I was getting vibes from that Romanian song Off and On from 2023. I was getting little whispers of that. Otherwise, I would say it was fine. It was not a bad song. But I was struggling throughout the contest and then listening to the other song. I was struggling to figure out where it was going to shoehorn in to the final. So, unfortunately for them, it did not work out. So number 8 was Cyprus, and I think some people out here are gonna have some opinions about it. So I thought going into this contest, before the rehearsals, before all of that, I thought this song was pretty well set to qualify. After I listened to the performance today, I was actually quite worried that it was not going to. Objectively speaking, with all due respect, the vocals were not that good. It was a very strained sound. Vocally, she sounded very tired. And I hope for her sake that she pulls it together. I mean, she's got a jury show tomorrow, Friday, and then she's got the big one on Saturday. So I hope she can rest her voice over the next couple days, because it could be rough if she doesn't. So unfortunately, I don't think that this one necessarily lived up to the hype. I like the studio version, but I think this one kind of just dragged itself over the line, and I'm a little concerned how it's going to do on Saturday. And again, hopefully she pulls it back together. And then after that, it was Austria. Austria went in between Cyprus and Latvia. So Austria, obviously the host entry. The last time they had a host entry, they came in dead last. So this song with the motion, whatever they're doing, it was interesting, if nothing else. It was different. It's kind of like sneaky catchy. It's not like the most catchy song you're going to hear in this contest, but it's sneaky catchy. It's not a threat to win, but all right, it's respectable. So number 9, this was Latvia. So this song, I thought she sounded nice. I think she sang fairly well. The sound of the song, I think, was actually very pleasant. The problem that I foresaw when I was listening to it live was, again, kind of like with Switzerland, I was trying to figure out where it was going to squeeze in that mix, in that top 10. I could see it getting lost in the weeds, and obviously it did. So now let's talk about number 10. This is Denmark. Again, they made me wait until almost the end. I was actually starting to panic a little bit. It's like, how could the song in like 3rd place in the odds or wherever it is, how could this be a potential NQ? That would have just been horrible. But I thought Søren's vocals were strong. I like that in terms of the staging that he didn't try to reinvent the wheel from what he did at DMGP. It was pretty similar. Maybe just a little like zhuzhed up a little bit, but they didn't try to just completely revamp everything. They had a good thing. It wasn't broke, so they didn't fix it. It's a well-rounded, good performance. I think it's just an all-around good song. Now, I saw somebody online complain that the song, that they were disgusted by it because it was too prominently featuring butts at times. And to that, I just say, grow up. It's 2026. All right, so number 11, this song was from Australia. It was Eclipse by Delta Goodrum. And obviously, she can sing. You can tell that she is a well-seasoned musical performer. I am glad that Australia is back in the final. The song, exciting is not the right word for it, but the right word is polished. It was very, very polished. It is a very well put together song. I feel like top 10 is very, very likely to happen at this point. Top 5 might also be a distinct possibility. Her big finish in this song was better than I expected it to be. It really sells it. And out of all 35 songs we saw, it was probably one of the more memorable big finishes that we saw this year. Moving on now to number 12, this is Ukraine. It was respectable. There were decent vocals. Ukraine does not miss. They have a 100% qualification rate for a reason. There was no way they were getting left out. I don't think it's a contender to win. Admittedly, when I watched and listened to and rated the songs from Vidbeer this year, this wasn't really on my radar. It wasn't at the bottom, but it really wasn't on my radar. She had that big note towards the end of the song. It sounded like she just barely missed it. And unfortunately, that's what they put in the recap clip, her just barely missing that note. But overall, I think it was a very respectable performance. Some Eurovision history here, though. She did set the record for the longest note at a Eurovision Song Contest, 28 seconds. That is a long note. And then the UK went on after Ukraine here. So, look, I respect that the UK took a chance with this entry. They sent something that is very different from anything they have ever set to this contest before. At times, I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. This is actually kind of working. And it has its own unique identity. That you can say for sure. And then other times it's like, okay. So I think I'm going to have to think about it. I didn't hate it. I'm going to have to think about it. But yeah, it was certainly unique. Let's go with that. It was unique. Then at number 13, it was Albania, Alice's song, Non. So Alice, he won Festivalji Këngës back in December. He has been waiting almost 5 months to get on the Eurovision stage and perform in the semifinal. I had a feeling this song was going to make it. This was what I would call a ballad with some personality. So, look, I think he got the emotional response that he was looking for. Obviously, it worked. It worked well enough to get him to qualify. Here's my criticism. Maybe they can fix this before Saturday. I think the subtitles were a good idea, but I don't think they were executed well. Color contrast is a thing. The subtitles were in yellow, and there were some times when it's set against like a white background, you almost can't see them. And, I got the high definition here, and I was right near the screen, and there were times it's just like, I can't really read what the subtitles say. So, maybe some sort of shadow, maybe some sort of background fill behind it, just something to, or maybe just change the font color. I don't know. Just something to kind of help it stick out a little bit more so it's easier to read. But other than that, I think that Alice largely did here what he set out to do. Just two more here. Malta was number 14, the second to last one. So I said it months ago. I'll say it again now. And all due respect and all apologies to the Maltese people or the fans. I love you, Malta. This isn't really the sort of song that I would seek out on my own or that I would listen to on my own. It's not really the sort of music that I would listen to. Now, with that said, he does have charisma, and I could see why the juries would eat it up. For me, it feels like this song just doesn't really have a payoff. It's like you're just waiting for like the big climax of the song, like what you saw with Australia, and you just don't get it with this one. So I'm curious to see how it does on Saturday. And then the last song, number 15, this was Norway. Yeah. So it was probably a good choice to close the show out. It's energetic. It's got a unique sound in this particular contest. I think that this song, just the composition, the vocals, put it all together into one performance. I think it's a solid middle of the road song for Saturday. It's not a bad song. It's not going to come in last, but it's not going to contend for the win. It's just going to be somewhere in that meaty middle of the scoreboard on Saturday. So we'll see where he and all of the other contenders fill in that scoreboard on Saturday. We are 2 days away from finding out who will win the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest. We may have some final predictions or final thoughts tomorrow before the big show happens on Saturday. So stick around here at EuroYard. Like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. We'll see you soon.